Hi, in this video I want to talk about 5 email marketing tips for new HubSpot users. Here are some of the things that we will cover in this video. First of all, we'll look into how you can set up your email domain and the branding for your emails, which is very important for your deliverability. Next, we will focus on segmentation and personalization. Then we'll have a look at how we can leverage HubSpot's automation features for email marketing. We'll get into some design best practices, and to wrap it all up, we'll also look into email analytics and how you can use that to optimize your email marketing. So let's get right into it. So let me share my screen, and first of all, the first thing we want to look into is making sure that you connect your email sending domain correctly to HubSpot. So to set up a brand domain, you want to go to settings here at the top right. Then in the left sidebar, you want to scroll all the way down to content, domains and URLs. And then here you can see that you can connect the domain. If you just set up your account, you probably will something similar like this, where you have no domains connected yet. So let's just quickly connect the domain here. And in this case, we want to connect an email sending domain. So we'll do that. Then type one of the email addresses. So I'm going to use one of my email addresses that I don't really use. And we click on next. So here it says verification. Your emails will be sent out from this domain, which is what we want in this case. And here you can see the setup that we need to do to connect this domain so that HubSpot can actually send out emails through this domain. So I'll actually go through this process. If you don't want to see this step by step, you can just click through to the next chapter of this video, but I will guide you through the entire process here. So here you can see the first thing we want to do is we want to locate our DNS record settings, which is something I already opened up here. This will depend based on your provider, but I would say just Google how you can find the DNS records for your provider. Usually you need to log into their backend, and there you will have your DNS records. But you can Google, for example, update DNS records at GoDaddy if GoDaddy is your provider. Then you can see that we need to add 3 different kinds of records here. So we have the DKIM record, the SPF record, and then the DMARC record. So we'll do these one by one. So we see that this is a CNAME record and this is the host. So we'll copy this information. We go to our DNS records. So when you find your domain here, you click on Change DNS Records and you will get a list that looks something like this. Then we can scroll all the way down and we can create a DNS record. This might look a little bit different for you, but it will have a similar experience to add these records. So the value is something we're going to type in right here. And then for this part, we need to go back to HubSpot, and that is the required data. So we'll add that right here. And then this one is the TTL. It's the time to live. And usually you can just keep this at 3600 and that should be perfectly fine. So we did already see that we needed another CNAME record. So we'll go here, we'll copy that second one. We'll go a little bit quicker for these since it is a similar workflow. So now we do have those CNAME records and we can save that information. You can also do all of these at once, but I just wanted to show when we save it in between. So then we did that part, which is the required part. HubSpot cannot send out any emails without this. But then I would strongly recommend on HubSpot as well here to also add the SPF record and the DMARC record, because this is important to make sure that the deliverability of your emails is optimal. Especially since I think it was the beginning of 2024, Gmail and some other providers have required that this information is available for the domains to make sure that they land in the inboxes of, for example, Gmail accounts. So here, the SPF records. Now, this is an interesting one since it could be that you already have an SPF record. So you can potentially just add this to your existing SPF record, but we'll have a look here if I do have one. So yeah, so you can see here that there is already an SPF record. And because of that, we would need to add that information to the existing record, which is a little bit more complicated, but you can always refer to the HubSpot knowledge base for that information. I'll link the one that I'm looking at right here in the description, so it's easy to find for you. But here you get the explanation of how you should set up your SPF records. And also when you need to like add additional information in there as well. So as we see, we can just add that information in there. So we will copy this and then we will add this includes here, and that actually looks perfectly fine. So that was the second one we needed to do. And then the last one is the DMark. So this does not exist right now. So we're gonna add that. That's a TXT record as we can see here. Let me quickly double check that I do indeed not have it. Nope. Then we go to TXT. This is the first part we need. Then we'll get the second part that we need. Also for the DMark records, you are able to do a more advanced setup since this is a feature that also includes some reporting if you want it. And there's also more information about that here in the knowledge base article as well. But HubSpot uses just a basic DMark record so that you're all set for the email providers that do require it. And this will work perfectly fine if you're not interested in getting any additional data from this. What this basically does is like it tells email systems what they should do with emails that are not properly authenticated by the other records that we just set up. So then when we have done all this, we just click verify here. Sometimes it might verify immediately, but it could also be that it can take a while for some of these records to update. So here we can see that it has not verified yet. I'll try just once more, but otherwise you can always just click finish later. Here you can see that these now did come true, but the SPF is still missing something here. Oh no, that one did not get updated yet. So that is something that will still come true in a moment. So we'll just do access without verifying for now. But once the SPF record is also verified, this will show up as fully authenticated. Whereas like right now, obviously you can see it's still partially authenticated. Now the next part is to make sure that we have consistent on-brand email templates that we can use for our email. So for that, we'll go here to the left sidebar to email, or actually one thing I want to show you before we go there, and that is that you do have the option to add your brand template to HubSpot as well. So if you go to account defaults, then you see that we have a tab branding here, and here you can add your logos, your favicons, the colors that your brand uses. You can even add some themes in here, but especially the logo and the colors here will be important if you want to make sure that everything stays consistent within HubSpot. So that's a pretty good tip that I want to add in here. But let's just go to marketing and then email. And then here you can see when we click on create email, we'll go for a regular email in this case. You do already get a decent amount of templates that we can use. Now for simplicity's sake, I will just start from scratch here. And honestly, I also just like the very simple templates. So for example, I do want to add a logo at the top here. I will add that in. Let's see if I already have it here. No, I do not. So I will need to upload my logo. Now you can see this is way too big here, but I do know that the file size is small enough. So that means that I can just change the height right here. Then we just go for a size that makes sense for us. So let's just leave it at this. And then we'll add some text in there. So you can see like how simple it really is to create a nice looking email within HubSpot. And all of these emails are also mobile friendly. Now for this, it's a very simple email, so obviously it's mobile friendly. So let me also quickly show you how the mobile design of these emails works. So let's say we want to have a section with 3 different columns here, and we want to have an image in every single one of these. And then let's just quickly generate some images with AI. So this is also an amazing feature that HubSpot has. What image do we want here? So we'll just describe what we want to see in our image. And as you can see here, it will generate that image for us. We can insert that right here. And to save some time, we'll just use the same image 3 times here. But now I can show you that when, for example, you're looking at the mobile version of this, it will put those images underneath each other instead of next to each other, because on most phones, like here, we still have a decent amount of space. but on most phones it will be even smaller, and it just wouldn't make sense anymore to have these images next to each other in that email. So this is all stuff that works automatically here within HubSpot. And it makes it just so much easier to do your marketing emails. Next, I want to talk about segmentation and personalization. I do have another video on setting up a marketing email from start to finish, which I will link right up here, which goes into more detail about the entire setup for a marketing email from start to finish. So I don't need to get into that again here. But let's talk about segmentation. So let's just exit this one for now. It will save it automatically, as you can see here. Then when we go to the left sidebar here and we go to CRM, we can go to lists. And this is where the power of HubSpot really comes in. So let's say we want to send out an email to a specific segment of our CRM database here. We can click on create list at the top right. And then as you can see here, you will have some options for which kind of list you want to create. But we want to create a contact list in this case. So we'll just click next. And then we can add some filters. And this is where we get the power of HubSpot. So let's say one of the filters we want is we want to make sure that we reach people in the right lifecycle stages. Just a quick reminder, lifecycle stages basically tells you where a contact is in the customer journey. So let's say this email specifically is focused on the contacts that are like really in the beginning of their journey. So they're just leads. They haven't had a lot of interaction with us yet. They definitely didn't talk to sales yet, and they most certainly are not customers. So that's already one part here, but we can go even more detailed. And as you can see, we have a lot of options. So we can say that we want to send these emails to people that specifically joined one of our webinars, for example. If you integrate Zoom with HubSpot, that will show up underneath here, and you will be able to select a specific webinar and even based on how long that they watched that webinar. But we'll work with the data that we have here right now. And another interesting one is the different interactions that someone had with your website. So let's say you have a professional services business and you offer different professional services within that business, like something like the Big Four would do. And we want to send out this email specifically to all of the contacts that we know that are interested in our accounting services. So in this case, we want to add in that we want to create a list with everyone who viewed a page on our website that had accounting in the URL. So let's say you have a page called Our Accounting Services. That page would work for this specific filter, and we would get just those people. I would always recommend to give these lists a name that makes sense. So for example, when I create these lists for marketing purposes, I will always preface it with external and then give it a descriptive name. So all marketing contacts that are interested. And now this list is ready. We just can click review and save. And well, because this is a demo account, it won't actually show any data here, but I will show you how you can then add this to the marketing email. So we'll go back to our email right here. I also will change the name now. You probably should do a more descriptive name than that, but let's just call it an accounting marketing update for now. And let's pretend that this is information about new accounting services that our business has, or maybe some news articles we want to share about recent changes. Then the next thing I want to talk about is that we do have some powerful personalization features within HubSpot. One of them being that we can add the name, of course. So we can say hi, and then we'll add in the first name, for example. And then we also need to add a fallback value in case there is no information available for that property. But I would recommend to at least always have the first name for all of your contacts so that you know that everything is okay there, because otherwise you will need to do something random like hi contact, which of course is not great. And then as you can see, we can also personalize it even further with like other information that we have available. So one of the things is that we can, for example, add information about the business. So you can choose to either do that through primary company, where we will get all of the different data available about the company, which is very interesting as well. This also includes custom properties if you add those. Or we can also do this right here through contact. And then there is a company name field here as well that we can add in as well. So there's a lot of information that we can use here. So one other thing I want to show you is smart rules. Just keep in mind that this is Marketing Hub Professional or higher. So let's say that we're talking about a real estate business here, and we want to show some photos of properties based on the budget that our contacts have. So then we can go hover over this image, click on more, then smart rule. And here you will see that you have the option to either filter based on contact lifecycle stage, which we talked about before, or list membership. So we'll do list membership in this case. Then we'll add a rule saying that we want to use the lists for contacts interested in properties over 1 million. We'll save that. And now you can see that we can change this image based on that list. So right now we're editing for the default. So this is what everyone will see. And then we can say for contacts interested in properties over 1 million, we want to replace this image and we want to, let's actually create a new one here because we do want a square image. And we want to show a villa in Los Angeles. I do know that you probably need a lot more than 1 million for most of the villas in Los Angeles, but for the sake of this video, let's just leave it at that. And then we can swap out that image, and now we can see that the default will be everyone will see these photos, but when a certain contact is part of this list, they will instead see this photo. And this also means that you can change the link for that as well. So you can have different properties in there, or better, different listings, since otherwise it might get a bit confusing with HubSpot properties. But you can have different listings in there, and you can add links to those specific listings. So this means you can just send out one email and have customizations within that email based on the budget of your contact. So that's also an amazing feature in here as well. Then for the personalization, we can even go a step further. And that is when we send out this email, we can just use one name and one email address that we will send it from. But we also do have the option to use the owner email and the owner name for that specific email. So let's say you're doing this email send for a real estate brokerage and you have multiple agents that are active in the system. You can make sure that the emails are actually sent from the specific agent that's the owner of that contact. So it's very personalized again. And then of course we can also add the personalization in the subject line. So we could, for example, add in the first name here as well. Again, make sure to just have the first name in the system. It's really basic. And then you can do something like if we would still be talking about real estate. Sorry, I'm going like back and forth between examples, but sometimes I feel like a certain example just makes more sense in a certain industry. So that's why I did it that way. And all of these things, so especially if you do something like this in the subject line and you make sure that it's sent from a contact that they already know, like these things specifically will increase your open rate for your email. And then personalization we do in here will also increase the click-through rate within your email and probably even the reply rate for your email as well, which are things that we really want to improve. So it's important that we get those things right. Now, next, let's get into some automations. Let's first dive into an example for a nurturing flow. So when we go to workflows here, so we're going to create a new workflow from scratch. It's going to be contact-based because we want to send out these emails to contacts. We'll click next. Again, we can choose when this workflow actually starts. So for example, let's do a simple example here. If they enter the contacts interested in properties over 1 million, that's when we want to start this specific workflow. We do have some extra features here like unenrollment and re-enrollment, but I do have a video about HubSpot workflows, like a deep dive video into HubSpot workflows that I'll link right up here if you want to learn all about those details. I'll just try to keep it simple here for now. Whenever they meet these criteria, so they're part of that list, we want to start sending them some emails. So then we can just do communications, send an email. We choose an email that we want to send. So in this case, I don't have a lot of automated emails ready in this account, so I'll just take this one for now. But the same way as we were just preparing that email, you can prepare the automated emails in the exact same way. And I'll show you like an example of just one of those in just a second. So we'll save this here. And then you can start building out a workflow. And as I said, there's a lot of options here. Really watch my video about HubSpot workflows. to learn all of the different details. A simple example would be we send one email, we have a delay of a couple of days, and then we want to send a next email, and that will be our sequence. And for each of these workflows, you can also set up a goal. And again, this will be found in the video that I just shared about HubSpot workflows. And what this goal does is it makes sure that whenever somebody reaches that goal that we have for this specific workflow, that they are unenrolled from that workflow so that they don't get any further emails. So let's just add one more email here. And you can build out the workflow like this. You can also start creating branches and say, like, based on this property and the value of that property, I want to go into like a different branch. Maybe it's information that we even get on a property that we updated from the interaction that someone had with any of these previous emails. That's one way to do it. But this is the way that you set up an email automation within HubSpot. Now, next, I'll show you how to create the simple version of this, because what I showed you just now, those advanced automations, those advanced workflows, that is something that's also marketing professional or higher. But what I'm going to show you now is something you can actually do with the HubSpot starter as well, so the marketing starter. So when we create an email, these are the kinds of emails that we want to create for those workflows and for a simple automation that I'm going to show you, an automated email. So we'll click on that email. We'll do from scratch again. Let's just make sure that we have, so let's add in the logo. Then we want the email itself right underneath that. I had my good friend ChatGPT create this email for me. By the way, let me know if you want me to create a video on how I use ChatGPT like all the time to, for example, create these email templates, but also as my email assistant and a ton more. So let me know in the comments if that's something you would be interested in. In the meantime, while I'm adding in this information in here, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more HubSpot excellence. We'll paste it in here. We'll make sure the formatting looks okay. In this case, I actually like how this looks, so then we can just add that document right here. Let me see if I actually have one. I do not have that specific document, but just let's say we'll do the services guide. I will just pretend that that's the workflows document, so that link is added in there. Then the free HubSpot assessment, this would link to that page on my website as well. An interesting thing is also like all of those link clicks within these emails are tracked within HubSpot as well. So that again is information you can work with for the next list that you're building out. We'll click quickly to add in the first name here. Let's actually do a little bit better. I can just say like, hi friend, will be nice. That's it for this email. So this is an automated email that we would send right after somebody submitted the form to download my favorite HubSpot workflows, which is a form that's actually on my website, and I'll link it in the description. It has some information in here, so these workflows can save you time, improve your follow-ups, and keep your marketing and sales aligned. Download it right here. If you need any help setting up or customizing these workflows, I'd be happy to chat. You can reply to this email with any questions or book a free HubSpot assessment call to get tailored recommendations for your business. So we do want the business call to action here, of course. Hope this helps. Let me know how you're using these workflows. Best, Jasper. So this is ready. We'll give this a descriptive name again. Delivering favorites, HubSpot workflows. We do want to make sure here that we have a subject line. ChatGPT was nice enough to draft that one for me as well. So we'll add that in there. I'll just send this out from my name. If you want to add it to a marketing campaign, so let's say you have like a specific marketing campaign for HubSpot workflows, you can link that right here. Then for the sending, you can see if you want to select don't send to unengaged contacts. In the case when somebody just submitted a form to download a document like this, I would just leave this unchecked. And then we can review and publish. And this email is now ready to be used. So now we can use this email in the more advanced workflows like I showed just before, but also in a simple workflow, which is something you can even do with the starter subscription. So when we have a simple workflow, I'm just going to use this form for now as an example. You have the option here to add an automation to that. And here you can see recommended simple workflow. And this is something that's available in Starter. So we'll do create this workflow. It says contact submitted this form. We want to send an email. We want to send it to the enrolled contact. And we want to deliver the HubSpot workflows. We can save that, review, and we're ready to go. So now, whenever somebody submits that form, we will automatically send them that specific email. And as I just said, this is something you can even do in the starter version. So this is a pretty nice automation that most of you can immediately use. Now, let's circle back to the email itself for a second here, because I do want to talk about some best practices for marketing emails in general. The first one being, always make sure that you use clear and mobile-friendly templates. Always try to keep those email sizes small. Whenever it gets too big, HubSpot will show an alert here that your email is too large and that it will probably end up in some spam filters. So that's something to keep in mind. As far as the template itself goes, for it to be clear and make sure that it's mobile friendly, HubSpot takes care of that for you, so you don't really have to worry about that. Next, you also want to make sure that your email has a clear call to action, specifically for marketing emails. So here you can see that we have one clear call to action, download your workflows here. And that's also basically the only thing we want people to do here. And then we have a smaller secondary call to action. And as you can see here, it also doesn't ask for as much attention within the email itself. So it is really secondary. And that is that free HubSpot assessment or even replying to this email, which we can still have in there. It still serves the same goal, like somebody is working on HubSpot workflows. They are downloading that guide. Maybe they need some extra help, and that will help point them in the right direction for that extra help. So always make sure that you have those things in place. And last but not least, make sure to maintain your brand voice and your style so that your emails are not all over the place, or you're not using like different images and different colors in like all of these emails. Make sure that it's like one nice experience that's coherent throughout the entire experience. That's very important. Now for the last part, I'll show you some sample data about analytics and how we can optimize emails. I'm going to use some examples here from HubSpot themselves, because I'm working with a demo account and I don't really have a lot of data in there. But here you can see the type of data that we get from our marketing emails within HubSpot. We have the amount of emails that are being sent or have been sent better. We have the open rate for those emails. We have the click rate. We have the click-through rate and the reply rate. Now you might be wondering, like, what's the difference between the click rate and the click-through rate? The difference is that this does not look at the open rate, but this does take the open rate into consideration to determine that click-through rate. So how do you use these to optimize? For example, the open rate. If you have a low open rate, there's basically only two things, maybe three things that you can do. First of all, always make sure that you're sending marketing emails to people that are expecting emails from you. Don't go out and buy any lists. Don't add any people to your system that have never heard of you and are not familiar with your business. It's just not a best practice. It's also against spam guidelines. So just make sure that you have a clean list of people that expect to hear from you. That's the first thing you can do. Second, we have the name that the email is from, the name and the email address, and of course, making sure that your sending setup that we did in the beginning of this video is set up correctly. But if that name is recognizable to the person receiving the email, of course, you're going to have a higher chance of that email being opened. And then the third one is the subject line. So the subject line is the last thing that will determine if somebody opens your email or not. So if you're going to do a subject line just saying like February newsletter, that's not really going to work. But if we instead would talk about something that we share in that February newsletter as a subject line, so for example, here are 10 tips to double the amount of leads that you will generate from your website. Like, that is something that will be interested if you have the right list that you're sending it to, of course. So that's again where like everything comes together. You want to make sure that you send the right content to the right people. But if you do that, boost. That's how you get the open rate up. Then for the click-through rate, the call to actions within the email are important. Make sure that you have just one goal for your email. You can have multiple call to actions, but make sure that there's at least like one clear call to action within your email and that you're not confusing people. So it is often even better to just have one specific call to action for an email, but sometimes you also just want to share a couple of different articles. Maybe you're trying to gauge which article somebody is interested in, or better even, which service someone is interested in based on the article that they would click on in the email. Again, data that we capture whenever they do click on that. And that is how you get that click-through rate up. And then, like as I did in my automated email, I actually did add a call to action to respond to the email, and that would mean that we would get a reply rate here. Then for the delivery, this is also something you want to keep an eye on. If you're working with a clean list, usually you should not be experiencing any issues here. If you're not working with a clean list, you will see higher hard bounce rates, unsubscribe rates, and spam report rates, all of which are bad for your deliverability and also for your sending reputation for your email account and even for your domain. So that was it for this video. Again, make sure to subscribe for more HubSpot excellence. If you like this video, you probably will love this video up here, which goes into way more detail about how to set up HubSpot workflows. It's really like a HubSpot workflows 101. So go check out that video, and until next time, bye.